back to the lab. This is part 2 of the lab. This is officially my notebook where I keep all of my notes because I have to write everything down. So what I do when I do this, when I'm in the lab, is I go to annaimagination.com and I create a new post so that I can document while I'm writing to you. And this allows me to basically make my notes while I talk to you. And then you can go through and see the corresponding all of this jazz while I talk. So this video, I don't even know what I called it. Just a moment. I'm building up the thing right now. It's on my blog on annaimagination.com. This is the 3rd and the 4th perspectives. I really want to focus right now on the 3rd and the 4th perspectives because we're going to talk about boundaries, and that is a big deal. And boundaries. So this is the post, and I'm going to go ahead and hit publish. So you can literally go to my website and look at it while I'm doing this. And I'm going to go ahead and drop the link down below. Yeah, I really love doing this. That way, if you want to review the notes to this, what is this thing called? Lab. Ooh, I like that. Lab notes. Yes, 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 I love this. I love everything about this right now. Lab notes. These are my lab notes. Yes. Oh, I'm so happy right now. Lab notes. Okay. These are my lab notes. These are my lab notes. So I'm a scientist, really. And it took me a very, very long time to come to this. This is very personal for me because I'm a girl and I grew up in a culture where girls aren't allowed to have science, which is why science was banned. Science and I have had a long history. I am a scientist. This is part of my identity. It is a big part of my identity. But I grew up in a culture where girls were not allowed to be scientists. In fact, science was not allowed to exist because I grew up in a religious culture. You know what? That's probably, these are the words that I have needed to say for a very, very long time. I am a girl scientist. There. And I grew up not only in a white supremacist culture where girls were supposed to be pretty and breeding material, but they were also supposed to be stupid. In fact, there's a ratio. The prettier the girl, the more stupid you're supposed to be. In the show, How I Met Your Mother, there is this graph that Ted and NPH write out. The prettier the girl, the more crazy she is. He's right. Let's explain that. The reason why she's so crazy is because she was abused the most. Because pretty girls are used for breeding slaves. I was one of them. I don't want to get into it. We know this about our culture. I'm the one going, hey, you want to know how ugly our culture is? It's a slave culture where pretty girls are used for breeding. And if you're white, oh, you are prime breeding material because it's a dying race and they want to make sure they preserve their fucking race. I was cattle. I was cattle. The words matter. You want to know how I healed? People ask me all the time, how'd you do it? I named it. That's how I did it. I found the name of what they did to me. And I broke the silence. I gave it power when I said the words. And then the truth came out. the truth to me. That's what we think validation is, and it's not. I'm fucking gorgeous. They made me know it. Every fucking time they raped me, they told me how fucking pretty I am. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm nowhere near as beautiful as I was back then. I was breathtaking when I was a child. But I was a scientist. I was prime real estate. The words are very closely linked to the emotion and the energy. It's emotion and energy. It's the same thing. They're the same thing. Emotional energy is what I refer to it as. This is emotional physics. It's emotion and energy. And then from that is birthed the name. And when you name it, you give it power. The name equals power. Cannot tell you that enough. Name equals power. Because the name breaks the spell. That's second perspective talk, though. Let me translate that to fourth perspective talk for you. Spells and magic is second perspective talk. So we're going to translate to this fourth perspective so you'll understand, because everything is in fourth perspective language. Name equals power. And when you give it name, you break the delusion. Spell means delusion. It means lie. They fancy it up, don't they? A spell is a delusion or a lie. So when you say the actual name, it immediately gives you the power to see the truth. And it breaks the spell. It breaks the delusion. The emperor is naked. The emperor is naked. And when you stop using their words, you stop feeding their delusion. So I was a slave used by white man to breed, to keep their fucking race alive. And because they gave me the wrong words, it took me 40 years to figure it out. 40 years to figure out what they were doing. Because I'm a girl and I was supposed to be stupid. Anger is an emotion that tells you, warning, you are in danger. Warning, there is damage. Warning, you are being hurt. And emotions are always right. Emotions don't lie. Abusers do. Abusers lie. Abusers lie. Abusers lie. Stop banning people from lying. See who's afraid of the lies. Because abusers lie. Abusers demand. Abusers deny And abusers do not allow you to lie. If they ban lying, you know what they've done? Truth means vulnerable. Oh, how those two words are linked in Latin. Words tell the truth. Go back to before the fourth perspective took over, and you see all of the truth come out. Because I studied linguistics, I was able to figure out all of this bullshit. And the more I studied linguistics and etymology and found the root word to everything, and sociology with the psychology of these 12 perspectives, I was able to go, why would words be created? I know why words are created. Words are created for need. Words are always created out of need. Words never come into existence until they are needed, which asks the question, why did they need these words? Why did they need the word humility? Why do they need the word righteous? Why do they need the word meek? Interesting, isn't it? Why do they need the word indentured servitude when slave is just as good? Why? So when I started to dig all this out, I found out that it's because words are the very first tool used to keep us ignorant. By using the wrong words, they literally cast a metaphorical spell to create a delusion to hide what they're really doing. So when you're ready to heal, name, because you immediately give voice to your truth. And when you give voice, you take power back and you release the obligation and the responsibility of being their secret keeper. So you are no longer an agent for your abuser. This is big. This is why I wrote and published Broken, is because I deliberately was giving name to what they did to me. And then I published it to free myself. As soon as I published it, I was no longer obligated to their silence. I refused to cooperate anymore. And as soon as you stop cooperating, you gain power. Oh my God, do you gain power? God, it's so fucking important to give name to what they do to you. Now, the third perspective is when you learn vulnerability. The second perspective is when we will learn pride. We value pride. We see the value in pride. If you accomplish the third perspective properly, you see the value in vulnerability. Vulnerability, are you ready for this? This is the most beautiful thing in the world, is literally the currency, the cost, the price for human connection. You cannot connect with another human being without vulnerability. And only through emotional transaction of human connection with vulnerability do you get love. Not possible. Not possible. Which is why people who are narcissists, who refuse vulnerability, never can participate in the emotional transaction of gifting that allows for human connection, that gives you love. Not possible. Vulnerability is literally like the golden path to love. But vulnerability requires that you be completely and totally submissive by choice. It allows you to open yourself up, be raw, be real, be vulnerable, be weak. It's not weak. See, there it is. There it is, right there. The word weak associated with vulnerable is a fourth perspective abuse shrink word that makes you avoid your vulnerability. Now, why would they want you to avoid your own vulnerability? This is interesting. Why do they want you to avoid your own vulnerability? It means that vulnerability gives you power. Interesting. What power do you get from vulnerability? Now, there's a reason why all this matters. In the fourth perspective, you learn another rule. And the rule you learn at the fourth perspective is boundaries. As soon as you leave the third perspective, I like to call the third perspective the Lord of the Flies stage, because chaos ensues at the third perspective. This is your 3-year-old toddler terror stage. The toddler terror stage is fourth perspective slander for independence and pride, which they don't like because they can't control you. So they ban words like pride, they ban words like vulnerable, and they shrink and disgust words like independence. They don't like these words at all. And as a result, we are punished if we go near these words. Now, when a toddler goes on their uber awesome life and they act like something out of Lord of the Flies, at the end of it all, you have to learn and accept your relationship to your own vulnerability. Now, you are feeling pretty vulnerable because it's vulnerable, it's really awesome. And the very first rule of vulnerability is boundary up. And a lot of people do not understand boundaries. So we're going to talk about that because this is really vital. A boundary is your personal law. It is literally your law. I call these, for me, analaws. I have a list of analaws. You need a list of your laws. Now, rule number 1 of your laws is they are not for anyone else. They're for you. They are not you have hereby reached my realm, and these are the laws that you must adhere by. No. That's projection. And that is absolutely you not feeling safe. You, by the way, in my world means to whom it may apply. And it is projecting your law onto other people. Now, other people are going to have their own laws. They don't give a shit about your laws, and they shouldn't. One moment. Thank you. Excuse me. So, when you create your laws, the purpose of these laws is for you to follow guidelines to keep you safe. This is how it is done. The laws and rule number 1 of your laws, these are the ones that I follow. You don't have to, but I'm going to explain why I have them the way I have them. The rule number 1 of my laws is that I am not allowed to share them with anyone else. And I have a reason for this one. Do not share your laws. Because if you walk up to an abuser, a bandit, and you tell the bandit, hey, this is how to break into my fortress, they're going to break into your fortress. Really, truly, this is it. So if you hand your laws over to everybody and you tell people what your boundaries are, you've literally told them how to manipulate you to get into your personal space. Now they are invalid and moot. How do you tell? Well, I'm going to just quote Harry Potter here. How do you sort out the liars? If you're walking around telling everybody your fucking boundaries, how do you sort out the liars? Really, this is it. So you don't share your laws with anybody else. No, you're going to use your laws to sort out the liars. Here's how. My first rule is, second rule, they can't violate the laws. Literally, this is my law. They cannot violate the laws. If they violate the laws, they have denied access to Analand. That is the third rule. If you violate the law, you deny access to the violator. This is simple. This is going somewhere, so stay with it. Stay with it, please. So rule number 1, do not share the laws. That way you can sort out the liars. 2, They cannot violate your laws. 3, if they violate your laws, you deny them access to your kingdom. These are the first 3 rules of my realm. I really strongly recommend you take them with you. By all means, adjust them however you need, but keep this logic in mind. The 4th law, this is where it gets fun. This is where it gets personal. The 4th law is they have to respect me. And let's talk about the word respect, because respect is one of those words. It's a fruit word. Fruit is, psychological fruit is sex, money, control, respect. Those are fruit, that's psychological fruit. Those are things that you don't get unless and until someone actually puts labor in and sows said fruit. You don't just get money, you have to work for it. You don't just get sex, you have to work for it. Work in this case means putting in the effort and the action to get the desired result. The desired result, consequence, is the psychological fruit. Respect is a psychological fruit. Rule number 5 is beware, red flag, of anyone who demands psychological fruit. If someone demands psychological fruit, big red flag. Psychological fruit, money, sex, respect, control. You see how fucking awesome this is? If a person demands psychological fruit, they're bad people. So they are narcissists. So that's like huge. So one of the rules is they have to respect me. But I want to really look up the word respect in the definition. A feeling of deep admiration. Admiration. I really want you to just process that joyous word, admire. Now, that is not how 4th perspective abusers use it, is it? Oh, good fucking God, no. If I were to define respect as my father used it on me to ram it down my throat, I would say respect means, oh, I'm going primitive here. Let me break my brain down. Grovel. Look up, idolize. That's how my father meant it. See, there's the word, respect me. Let's fuck the word. Again, word abuse. But what was the emotion behind the word? When they demand respect, what do they really do? What was the feeling? It's such a primitive thing. Our culture is obsessed with this. Baby boomers love screaming, kids these days have no respect. What the fuck does that mean? Explain yourself. I really want to sit down with a boomer and ask that question. Explain yourself. I see that conversation not going well. Explain yourself. What does respect mean? How do they feel about that word? What emotion does it evoke? Because the emotion is the truth. What emotion does it evoke? For me, it evokes groveling and idolizing. They want me to idolize them. That's what my father wanted. That's what it felt like. It meant grovel at his feet and idolize him. No, it doesn't. It means to admire. And this is exactly what I mean by they use the word, but it's not matching the emotion. They don't fit. So our minds subconsciously are associated to the feeling of respect. And that confuses us because we're going, no, respect just means to admire. Now I'm going to finish reading the entire vocab word here. A feeling of deep admiration. So it's not just admiration, it's deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements. All right. Admire. So let's really get into this now. Who do I respect? Think about who you respect. Think about who deserves your respect. I respect Michelle Obama. Holy fucking shit, do I respect that woman. She is amazing. I respect Gandhi. Now let's talk about what are the emotions attached. Let's throw out the word for a minute. What are the emotions? Revere, reverence. That's really what I feel. Reverence, honor. I revere them. I would use the word strictly, admire. I revere and I admire. So reverence. I have great respect for these people, deep admirations for their accomplishments. Oh my God, do I adore. That's the word I use that's an Anna word. That's the word I use. I adore the work of Shakespeare. I adore the accomplishments of Tesla. I adore Einstein. Adoration. To adore is adoration. It's really weird how we have the word adorable from adoration. It's really fucking weird. It's not weird. I mean, this is word manipulation. This is the psychology of word manipulation. So let's look at adoration. And I really think we have these associations. You have an emotion. You think, oh, it's so adorable. Think about that for a minute. Just ruminate, feel the emotion with the word adorable. Let's look up the word adoration now. This is going to be funny. Deep love and respect, worship, veneration. Now, adorable. Inspire great affection, delightful, charming, and yet I was thinking cute. He's so adorable. I'm thinking cute. Cute is not here. Cute is not present, not even a little bit. You could say delightful and charming. Yes, that's here. I could see where cute means delightful and charming, but they're not. Oh, they are not anywhere near these words. If you look up charming and delightful, they actually have nothing to do with cute. But we have this word in our head, adorable equals cute. Well, who's coming up with this bullshit? Because the dictionary does not agree. Now let's look up the other word. Let's go back to adoration. See, that this is where it gets really fucking awesome for me. Deep love and respect for, and a worship or a veneration. We could almost take worship to mean idolizing. Now here also we have glorification, praise, and reverence. Like I said, we have absolutely no appreciation or awareness of words. We just throw them around the place like they're garbage. And this is the result. So in my world, one of my rules, my fourth rule is they have to respect me. By respect, I mean they have to admire me. They have to love me. They have to support me. And this is where I can branch into several different variations of that. By respect, I mean they have to praise me. Not praise me like I'm a god. That's gross. But it's support. They have to elevate me. They have to be my people. Like, because I'm going to give it out. And this is how I came up with my laws. I have a list of really fucking awesome qualities that I love about me that I noticed I give to all of my people. I want every person to do this exercise because this is really fucking big. This is how this works. Every person has a list of qualities, especially givers. We are givers. We are helpful. We are supportive. We're constantly giving our advice and our time. These are fucking awesome qualities. Now, this actually increases your value. Now, are you giving this value out to just anybody? Yeah, probably. A lot of people do because people don't know how to give boundaries, which is why we attract so many narcissists. When you do not have personal law, you suddenly have this really high rated value. How much are you worth? If you've got all these really fucking awesome qualities, and this is it, you have to become self-aware of the qualities that you have. I know what people are getting from me when they become my friend. They get free psychological advice with every fucking problem. And not just psychological advice, my psychological advice. And I know it's fucking valuable. So I started to notice it. The people in my circle, who gravitates toward you and what are they constantly taking from you? Because that's your value. What are people constantly taking from you? From me, people were constantly taking my time, my psychological professional advice. Oh my God. It was exhausting. I'd go to a party and I'd suddenly be caught up in a 1-hour discussion of why someone was being narcissistically abused. I was working at parties. That made me really fucking angry because I wasn't using my boundaries. So now I have a rule, and my rule is small talk for you. This is true. Small talk for you is professional work for me. And I don't want to, no. And this is fantastic because now I have this fantastic get out of jail free card for the rest of my life with every conversation with every human being. Because 100% of conversation is psychological evaluation on human behavior. You're gossiping, you're actually talking about the psychological evaluation of human behavior. You're evaluating who did what to who the other day. Psychological evaluation of human behavior. This is my job. So when I sit down with a human being to have a conversation, 100% of conversations is my work. And suddenly, because it's my work, I have a different perspective. So people figure this out real fast. And it goes like this. Hi, how are you? Great, how are you? I'm fantastic. So what do you do for a living? I'm a psychologist. Okay, let's talk to you about this problem that this guy, why are you fucking doing this shit to me? And I'll say this to people exactly like that. What the fuck are you doing to me? And then we laugh. And I say to them, no, I don't want to work. Why are you dragging me into your crap? I don't want to go to work. The problem is I'm not aware of it yet. I'm starting to catch on all the sneaky ways. I was doing movie reviews. I'm a movie reviewer. And every week I do a movie review. And I have to introduce myself. This one gentleman was new to the group. I did my introduction. And as soon as he heard my work, he jumped right onto it. And he was like, wait, I want to break that down. What do you mean? What do I mean? Immediately, I was in the conversation. 10 minutes later, I'm giving him the evaluation and the breakdown of narcissism. And I'm going, what the fuck? I'm not having fun. This is not fun. I do movie reviews for fun. This was fucking not fun. And he was also very arrogant, the true definition of the word arrogant, in the sense where he had fucking no idea about anything psychology, but he was going to throw the DSM-5 at me. I wipe my ass with the DSM-5. It's garbage. I said that to him. So I realized in the middle of this conversation that I was in a conversation that was making me feel fucking miserable because I was giving free psychological advice to this guy who had no respect for my work. Look at that. No respect. And yet here I was giving him my fucking professional opinion that's valued really high. And I'm going, what the fuck am I doing, Anna? What the fuck? Boundaries. So rule number 1 for me is my conversation is suddenly banned from people. I do not talk to people outside of my circle of trust because talking is psychological evaluation of human behavior. Give me, please, an example. I think I can talk about the weather. I think I could talk about the weather. And I see me now making so much fun conversation about the weather. Yes, this is something I will probably turn into a hobby of mine because it's so mundane. But that's where I'm at, is there is literally like no conversation that does exist in human conversation, small talk or not, that is not some form of psychological evaluation of human behavior. So for me, one of my boundaries is no communication with outside anybody who is not in my circle of trust, because I don't want to work for free for a bunch of strangers. So there it is. For God's sakes, you can plug into my YouTube channels and get all of my free shit there. When I'm home, when I'm in the privacy of my me time, I don't want to do this shit. So for me, this is a boundary. Here's a great rule. Oh, I hate saying that word. I know the origin of it. I don't want to say that. Here's a great rule for you to follow. If it does not give you joy, you need a rule. Real black and white. If you do not enjoy it and you find yourself in a situation often, the same situation, you need a law for yourself. That's how you sniff out your laws. If you find yourself doing something you don't enjoy. This is going to get real fun because the very first thing that you are going to realize is your law is, it is against my law to go to work from 9 to 5. And I did this. I was like, all right, what don't I enjoy? I don't enjoy, and then you do enjoy. So if you do not enjoy it, you need to have a law. And yes, many of us are going to go, wow, it's violating my laws to go to work. You need a new job. You need a new job if it literally violates your own laws. If you do not enjoy it, that should be the clue. If it drains you, that's another thing. If it drains you, if it exhausts you, these are the clues, people. Enjoy, drains, exhausts. There's one more. Uncomfortable. If it makes you uncomfortable, now I'm going to tell you right now, discomfort is up there. It's up there. You don't enjoy it. And then it drains you and exhausts you. That's like a heightened level of no enjoyment. And then it makes you uncomfortable. Okay, now there's only 2 times you should feel uncomfortable. When you consent and you grow. Yeah, that's it. Consensual growth. That is the only time you should feel uncomfortable. Consensual growth. We're going to talk about this because this is big. This is the red flag. Discomfort is consensual growth. That's you going, I'm going to step out of my comfort zone and make myself exposure therapy on purpose to expand my comfort zone, to show myself that I have no reason to fear. I am going to consensually expand my mind. Now you're going to feel uncomfortable. You have consensually decided to grow. Any other form of discomfort is non-consent and violating. That's your red flag that something is up. Most women ignore this. And they go, oh, but I don't want to make this predatorial abuser who's going to rape me later uncomfortable. Why? They don't give a shit about your comfort. Why are you prioritizing their discomfort? We really need to talk about this. They do not value your discomfort. Therefore, you should not value their discomfort. Really wrap your head around this. This is why we have rape culture. Because people, predators, abusers, do not value your discomfort, but you value theirs. And I this is it right here. By valuing their discomfort when they don't value yours. This is it. To understand this exchange, I got to dig this down because this keeps coming up and I really need to dig it out. And I will dig this out later. So when you notice that you don't enjoy something, when you noticed you're drained, when you noticed you're exhausted, these are all the things that need to go into your boundaries. These are the things that need to go into your personal laws. So rule number 1, do not share your laws. That way you can sort out the liars. They cannot violate your laws. That's rule number 2. If they violate your laws, they do not go into your circle of trust. Bottom line, deny access to the violators. Rule number 3. Rule number 4, they need to respect you. They need to admire you. 5, these are literally your fan club. Your circle of trust should be your fan club. You should have a fan club. This is another big thing. Do not hang out with violators. Do not give your time or access to violators. Do not prematurely give access. Oh, this is a big one. Do not prematurely give access to violators. That is so fucking huge. So many people give access prematurely. This is when you trust people who hurt you. And then people say things like, oh, I can't trust. No, you shouldn't give premature access. So now it comes in, how do you know if you should trust somebody? There you go. Let's go over that. How to determine if someone qualifies. We're going to call this like a job application. We need to make sure you qualify for your trust. I'm going to break it down like that. Oh, you want to get into my circle of trust? Well, let's see if you qualify. Time. Observation. This is what I call integrity. You need to use discernment. Let's look up the word discernment. It's such a rare word in our culture, and it really needs to not be a rare word because this word is like gold. I just learned it, and I was like, whoa, what is this? The ability to judge well. So we're going to break down discernment. How do you judge well? Integrity. This is how. Step 1. Know your values. Know your ethics. 3. How do they make you feel? Your emotions. 4. How do they behave? Behavior. How do you behave around them? Observe. You want to observe these 5 things. Know your values, know your ethics. I guess it starts there. Then observe. How do they make you feel? How do they behave? And how do you behave around them? Are you changing your behavior because you feel afraid? Are you muting yourself and tuning down your happy, joyful awesomeness because you're afraid you're going to be judged? Do you feel safe enough to be yourself? This is a big deal. Do you feel safe enough to be yourself? If you don't feel safe enough to be yourself, that's a clue. That's mask wearing. You are looking for psychological safety. Now, this is the observation stage. The next stage is the comparison stage. The comparison stage is this. Listen to the words coming out of their mouth. And listen to the names they give themselves. This is important. Boy, is this red flag central. If they use the word friend in the first 10 minutes, red flag. No one who is a friend uses that word ever. The word friend is something that comes in weeks after the friendship has been established. If they use the premature friend, big red flag, big red fucking flag. The names of relatives are the hardest. Mother, father, sibling. This is going to get hard. Mother and father and siblings, uncles, grandparents, aunts. These words are dangerous because they're already in your circle of trust when maybe they shouldn't be there. And your belonging is at risk if they violate. Now we have a problem. I'm going to go over that later, probably in another video, but this is big. This is like fucking huge. Now, listen to the words. Look at the names they give. Do they match? That's all. This is it. Just do they match? This is you're going to play a matching game. This is all it is. without any words or names from these people, if you were to look at your values and your ethics, if you were to look at your emotions, and if you were to look at your behavior, their behavior, and how you have to alter your behavior, what word would you give them for a name? Your options are liar, abuser, asshole, manipulator. What other great words are there? Two-faced. I'm going to go through this. Condescending. Impatient. Mean. There's one particular word I want. It's the guilting. Blamer. Blame. But it's not just blame. Accusation. Accuser. Ooh, that's yummy juice. Oh, that's good juice. Accuser. That's what blaming is. Tattling. Tattling. Tattling is another fourth perspective word for trying to hold someone accountable for their bullshit. And instead of actually holding people accountable for their bullshit, the accuser blames the proper person for tattling. Tattling is when a narcissist blames the honest individual because they want accountability and justice. There's a lot of that bullshit in our society. Tattling is a dirty fourth perspective word that hides what's really going on. If you hear the word tattle, red flag. Big red flag. Accusers. An accuser, there's so much Roman bullshit in this. I love Roman bullshit because I can smell it a million miles away. Accusers. A person who claims that someone has committed an offense or done something wrong has fallen out of usage. I wonder why. In fact, it is often used in the Bible. An accuser. Let's go into the etymology. Boy, it's a fucking old word. And this is why it fell out of usage, is because, 1300 charge with an offense, fault, or error, from Old French, accuser, to accuse, indict, reproach, blame. And then earlier, announce, report, disclose, 12th century, or directly from the Latin accusare, to call to account, accountability, make complaint against, reproach, blame, bring to trial. To bring to trial. To bring to trial. The question is, did you do something that calls for bringing you to trial? Trial is a big deal, a really big fucking deal. Did you do something that required, was the offense big enough? Because that's really the question. What you are being accused of, was it a big enough violation? Oh, I know where I'm going with this. To summon a trial. Did you have an offense? The first question is, did you actually have an offense? And the second question is, was the offense large enough to actually summon a trial? If the answer to either one of these questions is no, then why is it being discussed? Now, let's look at the word guilt. Shame. You know what's really being done there? Really? That's not accusation. That's judge and jury, damnation and sentence, all carried out without a trial. That's really what blame is doing. That's really what an accuser is doing. They're not summoning you to court. They have bypassed that process. They are assuming guilt prior to evidence. That is why blaming and guilt tripping is wrong, is because you are being sentenced, damned, judged, and brought to trial without a fair trial, all in a matter of a few seconds. So yeah, do your parents do this to you? It's a big offense. It's a real big fucking offense. Are you allowing it? So I would put it as a law that if somebody is accusing you of this, if somebody has a practice of accusation, they don't go in the circle. Oh, good God, they do not get access to the circle. Blamers do not get access to the circle. So when you look at determining the integrity of somebody, you are looking at how they make you feel, how you behave around them, how they behave. You are looking at how they make you feel. And then, bottom line, do you feel safe enough to be yourself? If they pass these tests, and here's the other thing, is time. People make these assumptions and decisions way too soon. You meet somebody and you immediately go, oh, yes, they're great. They passed the first test. No. The rule of thumb I follow is 3 months to 2 years. There is X amount of time that has to pass. And I'm going to be blunt. I have no idea how much time that is. I have not done it. This is really good because I think next time I meet a friend, see, I'm already doing it. And that's the problem. The next time I meet somebody, I'm going to track. And then I'm going to watch how much time I've spent with them. And I'm going to watch at one point, they finally go from here to the next level, to the next level. I'm going to do this. I'm going to track the stages because it's after a certain amount of time. Now, you could spend a lot of time with someone in a short period of time. You could spend a very short period of time over a prolonged period of time, which is why I say 3 months to 2 years. Now, for me, 2 years before I'm even dating them. That's my solid. If I haven't known them for 2 years, then I'm not even dating them. Because, and I mean like solid friendship, they have to be in my circle of trust for 2 years. Like they have to go through this evaluation process. So this is where patience is really a big key to boundaries. And people do not know this. They're so starved for affection. They're so starved. It's because you are not doing the self-work. You don't have self-identity. So you lack a lot of yourself. So you seek out yourself and other people. So you're looking for emotional prosthetics, which you then project your insecurity onto other people. So you feel alone. You feel abandoned. You feel rejected. So you end up projecting yourself onto other people. So you bring them in a lot sooner. And as a result, you are prematurely trusting people because you are desperate, because you haven't done the work and you have identity holes in you. And as a result, you find out that they're horrible for you because what you've really done is your desperation attracted a bunch of narcissists like moths to a flame because you reek of that desperation when you prematurely, excitedly bring people into your life. This is what I call boring, predictable psychology because everyone does it. And it all goes away if you just take care of your self-identity. As soon as you take care of your self-identity, as soon as you know who you are, as soon as you know who and what was done to you, and as soon as you know who you will be, it all fits into place. You suddenly feel very secure. You don't need anyone. The desperation goes away. You have no need to have anybody in your life. Suddenly you have all the patience in the world and says, you know what? It might take me 5 years to decide if I like you or not. I don't know. I'm not in any rush because urgency is a red flag. But you got to do the work. You just got to know who you are, what was done to you, who you are now. You've got to have the authority. You have to have your autonomy, and you have to have your security. There's the third. I was looking for that. Autonomy, authority, security. That is the components that build up the self. To get them, you have to know who you are. You have to know what you are. You have to understand. And you have to know who you will be in the future. And then you're pretty stable. To get there, you need your laws and your boundaries. Don't share them with people. Don't go around saying, you can't do that. These are my well, that's projecting, which is now what the fourth perspective does a lot of times, is it projects its opinion and its perspective onto other people because it feels insecure. The fourth perspective is very much about insecurity. What did I say it was? I had a thing that explained the fourth perspective, and it was not self-government. What did I say it was? It was not self-government. It was personal law. The fourth perspective is personal law. It's learning how to construct your own personal law and enforce your own personal law instead of projecting it onto other people. But we live in a society that is obsessed with creating a law and pushing it onto other people. So when you hear, oh, you got to set boundaries, what a lot of people do instead is they set the boundary, but then they end up projecting it on a lot of different people. So you have pride, you have vulnerability, and then you have personal law. That is the second, third, and fourth perspective. After personal law, you learn justice with accountability. That's really it. Justice with accountability. That's the fifth perspective. Now, when I say fifth perspective, what I mean is you have to go through all of the fifth perspective to get to the end of the fifth perspective, to get to the sixth perspective. So really, accountability is not internalized until the sixth perspective. It is the lesson to be learned at the fifth perspective. So if you are at the third perspective, the lesson to be learned is vulnerability. You need to really sit down and get cozy with your vulnerability. If you are at the fourth perspective, you need to get real cozy with your personal law and set boundaries. This is where a lot of people have an emotional prosthetic and dependence upon the law of the land, the societal law, because the societal law is doing the boundaries for them, which is now us projecting our dependence upon the society because you are not being accountable, look at that, for your own personal law. So you have to set your own personal law and hold yourself to it. It's absolutely extraordinary. You will refine your laws again when you get to the seventh and your eighth perspective, because the last thing is the equality, self-equality at the sixth perspective, when you realize that you do have value and a place among the masses with your voice. It's the prioritizing of the voice. The voice is the sixth, seventh, and eighth perspective, and the ninth. It's absolutely the mastery and the love and the compassion for the voice. Whereas with the third, fourth, fifth perspective, I can see very easily where those three are all about justice and law. Very, very much. Oh, no, I see where that's the fourth, fifth, and sixth perspective because of equality. So the fourth, fifth, and sixth perspective is about justice and law, whereas that seventh, eighth, and ninth is about the power and the beauty of the voice. I'm going to figure this out. The first, second, and third. See, I don't know the first ethic. No one knows the first ethic. It's so annoying because babies don't talk. Damn them. How dare they not talk? So pride, vulnerability, X, pride, and vulnerability. That gives you the first. That's the foundations. Pride and vulnerability and something else, which I will figure out once I graduate from First Perspective U of I. The next one is justice. Yeah, so it's your personal law, accountability, and then equality, self-equality. That is justice. That is absolutely about justice. And then the next one is voice. Interesting. Justice and voice. I really wonder what that first one is. And voice is the power of silence. the value of communication and communicating with purpose, and then dignity. Now, I say the word dignity, but it doesn't feel right. But it's the one that I came up with at the time that I was in the ninth perspective. So I'm going to look up dignity. A state or being of worthy or honor or respect. But it was for others. It was dignity for others. It wasn't self. It was a projection of, and this is where I struggled, because what happened in my brain in the eighth perspective was I wanted to be kinder and gentler with other people. I realized that my words were cruel to other people, and I didn't like that. I wanted to protect other people with my words. And I came up with dignity, but it was really a composed or serious manner or style, stateliness, no, self-esteem, self-worth, but it was projected onto them. It was a value for others. And I was not able to really capture the word. I struggled with that emotion. So I'm going to have to go back and figure that out. But yeah, and it's the bridge between that next stage. That next stage is love. And that was emotions, and then logic, and then it was love. Emotional logic. Yeah, emotional logic, or logical emotion. Oh, I love that. Logical emotion is what I would call it. That is what you learn at the 12th, logical emotion. And that leads to love. So let me see here. Pride and vulnerability. What would those? I don't want to say dependence. I just don't know. I just cannot figure it out. It's infuriating. And I've been through this so many times. And I do know that self-salvation is part of it. I almost could say that self-salvation is the first ethic. Self-salvation. And that gives you pride. But pride is what you have to learn at the second perspective. So you go into the second perspective without it. Self-salvation. See, and I want to say it's self-discipline, because you have to learn how to quell your emotions to problem solve. So it's I really just don't know. And I won't know until, the reason why I don't know it is because I have not done it, because I'm in the first perspective of the U of I. And I was a baby when I first did this. And we were all babies when we first did this, but some of us didn't do it. So, and because I'm not there yet, I can't see it. And it's just infuriating. It's frustrating for me, because I feel limited, and I'm like, I want this answer. I want this information. So it's justice, it's voice, and then it is logical emotion. So yeah, when it comes to boundary setting, this is really it. I'm going to go ahead and upload this. Like I said, I have a lab notes where I've written all this stuff down. And once you really break down what are the stages of you coming up with your own personal law, why, and all that beautiful jazz, that's really when it hits. So yeah, that's really when it hits solid and true. And it's the other thing, this is really big, is when you have, and here's the thing, is courage. Courage is a big deal. Courage is an emotion I almost never talk about. And let's talk about courage, because courage is a huge part of this. Courage is the ability to stand up for your priorities. It is facing your fear. I mean, really, that's it. Is courage the first ethic? Yes. Yes, that's logical. Which explains why I never talk about it. It feels right. It feels good. So, courage in the face of fear. Courage. It's logically checking out. I'm running through all of it in my brain, and I'm not seeing any inconsistency. It plugs in everything. Self-valuation, self-salvation. You have to have courage to save yourself. Courage to face your fear. Courage to stand up to your abuser. Courage to tell your parents, no. Courage to prioritize yourself. Oh shit, I just moved into the next perspective. Courage. Courage is what we never internalized. Oh, we're a bunch of scaredy cats. Fourth perspective, slanderous talk. I shouldn't say that, right? Courage. Courage, pride, and then vulnerability. Wow, that's really fucking big. You know, it's funny. I'm going through all of this for the last 4 months. And in the background of my brain, literally like a movie, is the cowardly lion from Wizard of Oz. That is my subconscious mind being an asshole. True story. Every fucking video, every time I talked about the first perspective, I've got, if I only, what did he say? I don't even know what he said. Not had a heart, had a brain, had the nerve. If I only had the nerve. I saw the dances going through my head. I saw him shivering in the Emerald City going, I changed my mind. I saw him reading the sign, I'd turn back if I were you. Like the whole fucking time, I had the cowardly lion from Wizard of Oz just playing on repeat in my brain. I don't understand what it is. And there's my fucking subconscious mind going, just giving me pictures and images of the cowardly lion. By the way, that's how the subconscious mind works. It can't give you words. It has to give you pictures. And nothing is more eminent of, more prominent, a representative of courage than the cowardly lion. His fucking name is a contradiction to his actions. He was the most courageous. The Tin Man was the most emotional. Brahm, you beautiful. Fuck you, you beautiful people. Oh my God, he's a 12th perspective. Of course he knew. Frank Baum. Home. Home is courage, logic, and emotion. Justice is missing. Courage, of course. I didn't even think about it. It is checking the fuck out. A child has to overcome their fears to soothe themselves. You have to confront your fears. Why was this? Oh, I had fucking courage. Oh my God, did I have courage? I was 8, standing in a room with a bunch of gunmen, literally, going, I think you are all wrong. Yeah, there I was. I didn't even think about it. I stood up to my brother. That's why I got beat so much, because I stood up to him. Standing up. I was looking. I didn't have the omniscient point of view to see it. God, what the fuck was wrong with me? Why couldn't I see this? It's so fucking obvious. Courage is the first ethic. We never learned courage. You don't learn courage to go through the fucking door to confront your fears. You're going to feel trapped in your comfort zone. So you're going to grab that bottle of addiction. You're going to grab whatever it is you need to make yourself feel safe because you don't have the courage to walk through that door, which means all I have to do is teach people now how to have courage. How the fuck do you have courage? You have to know you'll win. You have to know you'll win. I know I'll win. That's why I have no fear, because I know. Courage is knowing. It's knowing you'll win. That's why you have no fears, because you fucking know. I literally have taken proof of concept. You use proof of concept to equate to the knowing. to fuel your courage. But if someone doesn't have courage, they shrink. How the fuck do you teach? Well, I know how you teach courage. To teach courage, you just do. You have to do. Exposure therapy, which is exactly what I already teach, but now it makes sense and I know why. Courage. Why the fuck? And my subconscious mind is such a fucking asshole. Oh, look at the cowardly lion. Look at the cowardly lion. Look at the cowardly lion. And I ignored it. I didn't say anything. It's like that moment in Doctor Who, the 11th hour, 11th Doctor, when he very first time he meets, not Rose Tyler, what's her name? Amy, thank you. He meets Amy. It's when she's adult Amy. And he says to her, because he's like handcuffed to the radiator, and he says, look behind yourself. It's right there in your peripheral vision. It's right there, right in the corner of your eye, the part of you that never looks, but you see it, but you know it's there, that you never think about knowing. That's where the cowardly lion lived. So for like 4 or 6 months, I would talk about this. I have no idea what the first perspective is. And there he was in the back going, cowardly lion, if I only had the nerve. And I'm just like, yeah, ignoring that. I have no idea what the first perspective is. And there's a cowardly lion. Why couldn't I? Like, there was just no connecting the dots. I just could not connect the dots. So there it is. The first perspective is courage. How can people not have courage? And this is, I had it in spades. Oh, I drank courage for breakfast. That's why I got the fuck out of Dutch. I know why. Oh, this is sad. You have to suffer. You have to suffer. Real fucking bad. You have to suffer so much. V for Vendetta. She said to him, I don't want to be afraid anymore. So he tortured her. He captured her, and he subjected her to months of torture. When she was done, she had no fear. You have to suffer. And you lose all fear because you know you'll be fine. You have to suffer. You have to suffer so much that you finally say, I don't give a fuck what it's going to take. There's an awareness. There's a block there. There's a block. There's like a window. It is a subconscious mind. Oh, you fucking bastard. The subconscious mind literally gives you amnesia. So you can't access the courage to keep you safe. Holy shit. That's the conversation I need to have with the subconscious mind. To keep you safe, the subconscious mind will literally give you amnesia to eliminate your courage, because courage equals danger. Oh. For me, there was danger without the courage. The courage freed me. But for everyone else, the courage meant the danger. If they cowered, they were safe. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't have that. I had courage was the door. I suddenly feel really bad for a whole lot of people. They were made afraid of the escape door. I'm so sorry. They were made afraid of the escape door. Well, I know how to solve that. Oh, I'm so sorry. Courage to me was the escape door. I blasted through that damn thing. The danger was there regardless. That's what I learned. But that's not what everyone else learns. What everyone else learns. Oh, look, it's the empathy. The empathy is working. The empathy is working. I learned empathy after I got rid of narcissism. And as soon as I'm like, oh, a new emotion. This is called empathy. Interesting. What's this do? This is what it does. I understand you. Oh, this is amazing. All right, so let's problem solve this. I can solve your problem now. This is awesome. All right, so this is how this works. Basically, there is a learned association that courage equals danger. Every person who has an addiction has this fear. Every person who is a narcissist stage 1, every empath has this learned response that courage equals danger, which means you have been conditioned to be afraid of the escape route. And that's how it keeps you trapped. Okay. You have to unlearn it. No, that's not the right word. It's not unlearning it. It's, well, exposure therapy. You have to teach your fear system. You have to teach your fear system that the danger isn't courage. Oh, I see. You have to, the logical fallacy. Oh, I found the logical fallacy. That's gold. All right, the logical fallacy to correct this is that you think you are in danger only if you try and escape. You have to prove to yourself through proof of concept, collect the evidence. This is it. You have to collect the evidence to prove to yourself that you are in danger by not having courage. That the safe space you think you are in is what's dangerous. You have to show yourself and prove to yourself that the environment you are in is toxic, is dangerous. It's the, if I cower, then I am safe. No. If you were safe, you would never have to cower. That's freedom. That's freedom. If you were safe, then you could leave the room. You're imprisoned. Oh, that's why I cried, because I relate. I didn't realize it was a prison. I couldn't understand it. You are literally imprisoned by your own fear. I never had this. I could never understand it. Oh, this is a lot. All right, logical fallacy then. If I cower, then I am safe. If you are safe, then you would never have to cower. That's it. That explains everything. That explains why people shrink. Oh, that explains why people shrink. Oh, that explains why people shrink. See, I would get mad. Like they put their words on me. I get their fucking words off of me. All right. This is why they shrink. Shrinking is cowering. I see how they, oh my God. Shrinking is cowering. Okay. All right. I need to do some self-care. I need to put this in perspective. When I say put something in perspective, I literally imagine like, it's like filing it in my brain. And it's just this, wow. I'm just like imprisoned by your own fear. But it's not fear. It's the lack of courage. It's literally using your courage as a weapon against you. It's weaponizing your courage. Fight back. See, for me, I'm like, why wouldn't you fight back? See, that's where my brother fucked up. He beat me no matter what. He beat me when I cowered. He beat me no matter what I did. If I was obedient, he beat me. That's what worked for me. Like that's what taught me courage doesn't matter. If anything, I got beat less when I was courageous. In fact, I did. I got beat less when I was courageous. That's the trick. Most people get beat less when they're courageous. Authority is courage. Oh. Authority is courage. I was fearless. I was fucking fearless. Because I'd seen shit when I was 4. Yeah. Didn't even think about it. Coward. Coward is a word I never, ever heard. Never. I never heard the word coward. I wonder if it's related to the animal cow. Hey, you laugh, but I want to know. Coward, etymology. Where does this word come from? Latin, cauda, tail. Yes, it's related to the word cow. So Latin, cauda. Oh, look at that. Cautious. Oh. So cauda in Latin is cauda, which is root word, cognitive, to cautious. So coward is actually cautious. Yeah, I was not cautious. I was a risk taker. I love risk. There is like no, see, caution to me is danger. That's what I learned. Caution is danger. That's what I learned. If you're cautious, you don't live. Oh, that's so. See, caution holds you back. Oh, I see now. This is all making a lot of click, click, click. I see now. This is why I couldn't understand the first ethic, is because it's courage. It just, yeah. Oh, possibly with reference to a frightened animal with its tail between its legs. Run away. Yellow belly. Chicken. But that's when you want to ignite a fight, antagonize. Because you want a fight. See, my brother was an antagonizer. Oh my God, did he fucking want to fight? In fact, he would come to me at times of my peace, and he would literally like, oh my God. I'd be in my room, locked, safe-ish, and then he'd come to my room and he'd bang on the door. And then he'd ask me a question like, what kind of music do you like? Oh, he knew what kind of music I like, and it didn't matter. He was there to get a fight. He wanted to fight me. What kind of music do you like? Go the fuck away from me. You know what kind of music I like. What kind of music do you like? And then he started banging on the door. What kind of music do you like? Open the door. Open the door. No. I'm not going to fucking open the door. You're going to beat the fuck out of me. I'm not opening the damn door. What kind of music do you like? It took me like 3 or 4 times. At first, it was he'd knock on the door. I'd open the door. What kind of music do you like? Classical. Boom, he'd punch me in the face. And then he'd tell me, I have to beat you up or you're going to be beaten up on the playground. I was never beaten up on the playground. He was the one who beat me up. He literally came to me in my cowering moments. And if I didn't, then he would torture the cats to lure me out. There was no safety in cowardice. I hate that word. It's so derogatory. There was no safety in caution. There was no safety. That's when I was preyed on the most. That's what he taught me. That if you don't fight, you get beaten. That's the lesson I learned. And it's right. It's right. It's not right for me. It's right for everyone. Because the minute you claim your authority and you stand up to the people who abuse you, they stop. Because the rule of an abuser, they need your cooperation. When you cower, you cooperate. When you cower, you cooperate. That wasn't the cooperation my brother wanted from me. Cowering was not the cooperation he wanted. I have no idea what he wanted from me. He wanted me to not exist, maybe. He wanted me to just be stupid. I don't know. So cowering equals cooperation, which is why people tiptoe, which is why they say, I'm sorry, which is why they... This like everybody in the world suddenly makes perfect sense to me. I am so sorry. It's amazing how cruel we are to people who we don't understand. Why are we cruel to those who we don't understand? Why are we unkind to those we don't understand? Why do we have to understand in order to have compassion? Why? Why can't we just have compassion? I'm not like this, but I understand it. So now it's different. And I'm going, why couldn't I have this before I understood? Why did I require understanding to have compassion? Why do we do this to ourselves, to each other? Why? I don't like that we do this. Why are we impatient toward those we don't understand? This is what I want to know now. This is my next mission. I want to know why. I want to know why we are so mean and intolerant to what we don't understand. Okay. Thank you so much for your audience. And may the kindest of words always find you.